They say never hire a lawyer without checking references. I wish I'd listened. When I discovered my husband Brandon was cheating on me after 12 years of marriage, I did what any smart woman would do. I hired the best divorce attorney in Atlanta. Attorney Jasmine Brooks had stellar reviews, a reputation for fighting for women, and a track record of winning big settlements. "I'm going to protect you," she told me in our first meeting. "I'm going to make sure you get everything you deserve." For 3 months, I paid her $450 an hour to strategize my divorce. I told her everything: my finances, my fears, my evidence against Brandon, my weaknesses in the marriage. She took detailed notes, promised to build an airtight case, and assured me she'd destroy him in court. Then one night, I stopped by her office unannounced to drop off documents. And I found them, Brandon and Jasmine, in her office, going over my case file, planning how to take everything from me. My divorce lawyer wasn't working for me. She was working for him. This is the story of how the woman I paid to protect me was the one destroying me, and how I used the legal system she tried to corrupt to obliterate them both. My name is Kennedy Harper, and before I tell you about the betrayal that almost cost me everything I'd built, you need to understand who I was before this nightmare began. I'm a financial advisor. Not just any financial advisor, I'm a senior wealth manager at one of the top firms in Atlanta, managing portfolios for high-net-worth clients, most of them Black professionals, athletes, and entrepreneurs, who want someone who understands their specific needs and cultural context. I'm good at what I am, really good. By the time I was 35, I was making $275,000 a year plus bonuses. I'd built a client list of over 50 families representing more than $100 million in assets under management. I grew up in Southwest Atlanta, in the Cascade Road area, a solidly middle-class Black neighborhood where people owned their homes, sent their kids to good schools, and believed in education and hard work. My father was a manager at Delta Airlines. My mother was a real estate agent. They taught me that financial literacy was power, that building wealth was how you secured your family's future, that being smart with money was non-negotiable. I went to Spelman College. Of course I did. I'm an Atlanta girl. Majored in economics. Graduated magna cum laude. Got my MBA from Emory. Passed my Series 7, Series 66, CFP certification. By 28, I was a financial advisor. By 32, I was a senior wealth manager. By 35, I was one of the most sought-after advisors in Atlanta's Black professional community. I met Brandon Harper at a Jack and Jill fundraiser when I was 29. He was 31. A commercial real estate broker specializing in retail properties, made excellent money, drove a BMW, dressed well, had that smooth confidence that comes from closing deals and making 6 figures. "Kennedy," he said, approaching me with champagne. "I've been watching you work this room. You're good. You barely looked at your phone once. You remembered everyone's name, and you closed at least 3 potential clients. That's impressive." "I'm a financial advisor," I said. "Networking is half my job. And the other half? Making sure people's money makes more money. I like that," he said, smiling. "I'm Brandon. I make money by helping businesses find the right locations. We should get coffee. Compare notes on how to separate rich people from their cash." I laughed despite myself. We got coffee, then dinner. Then 6 months of dating where I learned he was funny, charming, ambitious, and serious about building wealth. He came from a similar background, solidly middle-class Black family from College Park. Parents who worked hard and instilled values, education-focused upbringing. "I want to build an empire," he told me on our 6-month anniversary. "Commercial properties, rental income, passive wealth. I want to retire at 50 and spend the rest of my life traveling with the woman I love." "Is that woman me?" I asked. "If you'll have me," he said. We got engaged a year later. Married at the Biltmore Ballroom. Elegant affair, 200 guests, both our families crying with joy. I wore a custom gown that cost $8,000 and felt like a queen. Brandon's vows made everyone tear up. "Kennedy, you're my partner in everything. In building wealth, building a life, building a future. I promise to always have your back, to always protect what's ours, to always put us first." I believed every word. We bought a house in Brookhaven, A beautiful 4-bedroom home in a tree-lined neighborhood full of young Black professionals. We hosted dinner parties, game nights, Sunday football gatherings. We traveled: Dubai, Paris, Bali, South Africa. We built investment portfolios together. We talked about having children someday, maybe after we hit certain financial milestones. For 10 years, I thought we were solid. A power couple. 2 ambitious professionals building wealth and legacy together. Then year 11 hit, and things started to shift. Brandon started staying out later. Client dinners, he'd say. You know how real estate is. You have to wine and dine the decision makers. He started traveling more, looking at properties in Charlotte, Nashville, Birmingham, expanding our market. Our sex life, which had always been good, started to decline. From 3 times a week to once a week to twice a month. When I tried to initiate, he was tired, stressed, had early meetings. Is everything okay? I asked one night after he turned me down again. Everything's fine, he said, annoyed. Why do you always think something's wrong? Because you don't touch me anymore. Because you're never home. Because you seem distant. I'm building a business, Kennedy. I'm trying to secure our future. Can you support me instead of questioning me? I backed off, told myself I was being paranoid, told myself he was just stressed about work. But the signs kept coming. Phone always face down. Taking calls in other rooms. Coming home late smelling like perfume, he said came from hugging a colleague. Unexplained charges on our joint credit card that he'd quickly explain away. Client gifts, business dinners, networking events. I started feeling it in my gut. That sick feeling that something was wrong. Then, 6 months ago, I found proof. I'd gone to use Brandon's laptop. Mine was charging. I just needed to check an email quickly. When I opened it, his messages app was still open. And there she was. Lyric. The name alone made my stomach drop. Who names their contact with a kiss emoji unless it's intimate? I scrolled through the messages, months of them. Flirty texts, explicit photos, plans to meet at hotels. I saw messages from 3 weeks ago. Can't wait to see you tonight. Room 412 at the W. His response. Already there, baby. Bring that thing I like. I felt like I was going to throw up. Sat there staring at his laptop, my hands shaking, my heart racing. I took photos of everything with my phone. Every message, every photo. Every hotel confirmation. Then I closed his laptop and walked away. I didn't confront him immediately. Instead, I did what I do best. I planned. I called my best friend, Simone, a corporate attorney. I need a divorce lawyer, the best in Atlanta, someone who will destroy him. How long has he been cheating? She asked. At least 6 months. Probably longer. I have proof. Then you need Jasmine Brooks, Simone said without hesitation. She's a partner at Brooks & Associates, specializes in high-asset divorces, has a reputation for getting women everything. She's expensive, $450 an hour, but she's worth it. She'll make sure you get the house, the investments, everything you're entitled to. Set up a meeting, I said. As soon as possible. 3 days later, I was sitting in Jasmine Brooks's office on the 20th floor of a high-rise in Buckhead. Her office was impressive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta, expensive furniture, walls covered with law degrees and certifications. Jasmine herself was stunning. Black woman in her early 40s, natural hair in an elegant twist-out, wearing a designer suit that probably cost $2,000, exuding confidence and power. Kennedy, she said, shaking my hand firmly. Simone told me about your situation. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but I'm here to help. I'm going to protect you and make sure you get everything you deserve. Thank you, I said, sitting down. I don't even know where to start. Start at the beginning, she said, opening a legal pad. Tell me everything about your marriage, your finances, and the affair. So I did. I told her everything. About our 12-year marriage, about how we'd built wealth together. I made $275,000. He made around $200,000, combined household income of nearly $500,000. About our house in Brookhaven worth $650,000 with $300,000 in equity. About our investment accounts, $400,000 in retirement funds, $150,000 in brokerage accounts, $75,000 in savings. About how we'd purchased 2 rental properties together worth $800,000 combined. I told her about discovering the affair, about finding the messages, about Lyric and the hotels and the explicit photos. Do you know who she is? Jasmine asked, taking notes. No, just the name Lyric. I don't know if it's her real name or a nickname. We'll find out, Jasmine said. Through discovery. Does he know you know about the affair? Not yet. I haven't confronted him. I wanted to talk to a lawyer first. Smart, Jasmine said, nodding. Very smart. Here's what we're going to do. Georgia is an equitable distribution state, not community property, which means the judge will divide assets fairly, but not necessarily 50-50. Given your income disparity, you make more than him, and given his affair, we can argue for a split more favorable to you. I'd estimate 60-40 or even 65-35 in your favor. That sounds good, I said. The house we'll definitely get. You've been the primary financial contributor, you make more money, and adultery matters in Georgia even if it's technically no fault. The rental properties we might have to split or sell, but we'll fight for terms that favor you. Retirement accounts will be divided. But again, we'll push for favorable terms. What about alimony? I asked. Unlikely, Jasmine said. You make more than him. If anything, he might try to request it from you, but we'll fight that. The affair should kill any alimony claim he might have. Good, I said. I don't want to pay him a dime. Understandable, Jasmine said. Now here's what I need from you. I need all financial documents, bank statements, investment accounts, property deeds, credit card statements, tax returns for the last 3 years. I need all evidence of the affair, screenshots, photos, anything you have, and I need you to start documenting everything going forward. Every late night, every unexplained expense, every suspicious behavior. I can do that, I said. Good. My retainer is $15,000. That covers initial work and court filings. After that, I bill at $450 an hour. My paralegal bill's at $150 an hour. Based on the complexity of your case, I estimate this will cost between $30,000 and $50,000 total. Can you afford that? I nodded. I have savings separate from our joint accounts. I can afford it. Perfect. Then let's get started. I'm going to protect you, Kennedy. I'm going to make sure that son of a bitch doesn't take a penny more than he deserves. You hired the right lawyer. I paid the retainer that day. Left her office feeling relieved, protected, like I'd finally taken control of a situation that had felt overwhelming. Over the next 3 months, I worked closely with Jasmine. I gave her every document she requested. Bank statements showing 12 years of joint finances. Investment account statements showing growth over our marriage. Property deeds showing both rental properties were purchased during the marriage with joint funds. Tax returns showing our combined income. Credit card statements showing unexplained charges at hotels and restaurants I'd never been to. I gave her all the evidence of Brandon's affair. Screenshots of hundreds of messages with Lyric. Photos she'd sent him. Explicit photos. Hotel confirmations. Receipts. Everything. This is perfect, Jasmine said during one of our meetings. With this evidence, we can argue he dissipated marital assets on his affair. Every dollar he spent on hotels, gifts, dinners with her. That's marital money used for infidelity. We can request reimbursement. How much? I asked. Based on what I'm seeing, probably $20,000 to $30,000 over 6 months. Hotels aren't cheap, especially the W in the St. Regis where he was taking her. I want every penny back, I said. You'll get it, Jasmine promised. I told Jasmine about my fears too. About feeling like I'd failed as a wife. About wondering if I'd been too focused on my career. About worrying that I wasn't attractive enough, feminine enough, attentive enough. Kennedy, Jasmine said, looking at me with such compassion. This is not your fault. You did everything right. You built a career, contributed financially to the marriage, supported his business. He's the one who betrayed you. Don't let him or anyone else make you feel like you're to blame. I cried in her office multiple times. She'd hand me tissues, let me cry, tell me it would be okay. "I'm not just your lawyer," she said during one particularly emotional session. "I'm your advocate. I'm your protector. I'm on your side completely. Whatever you need, you tell me." I trusted her completely. About 2 months into working with Jasmine, I finally confronted Brandon. Jasmine had advised me to wait until we had all our ducks in a row, all financial documents gathered, all evidence compiled, separation logistics planned. "I know about Lyric," I said one evening when Brandon came home late. He froze. "What?" "I know about the affair. I've known for 2 months. I have all the messages, all the photos, all the hotel receipts, and I've hired a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce." His face went through every emotion. Shock, fear, guilt, then anger. "You went through my computer? And found your mistress?" "Yeah, I did. Are you really going to make this about privacy when you've been cheating on me for months?" "Kennedy, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You had an affair. You used our money to pay for hotels and gifts for your mistress. You lied to me for months. I'm done. I want you out of the house. This is my house too. Then we'll let the lawyers figure it out. But I want you out. Now." He left that night, went to stay with his brother. I changed the locks the next day. Jasmine had advised me to do that immediately, and since my name was on the deed and I could afford the mortgage on my own, it was legal. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. Jasmine filed for divorce. Brandon hired his own attorney, some guy named Robert Chen from a mid-tier firm. Jasmine laughed when she heard. "Robert Chen is competent, but not aggressive," she told me. "He's not going to fight hard enough. This is going to be easy." We went back and forth with offers. I requested the house, 65% of all assets, all my retirement accounts, reimbursement for money Brandon spent on the affair, and a clause that he couldn't request alimony. Brandon's attorney countered, 50-50 split of everything, including the house which would be sold. No reimbursement for affair-related expenses. No alimony for either party. Absolutely not. Jasmine said when she showed me Brandon's counter. "He cheated on you, used your money to do it, and now he wants half of everything? Hell no. We're going to trial if we have to. A judge will see your income disparity, his infidelity, and rule in your favor. Whatever it takes," I said. "I'm not giving him half of what I built." "You won't have to," Jasmine assured me. "Trust me." About 3 months into the divorce process, I had a late night at work. One of my clients was freaking out about market volatility, needed reassurance, wanted to review their portfolio. By the time I finished the call and completed my notes, it was almost 9 p.m. I'd forgotten to give Jasmine some documents she'd requested, updated bank statements and a recent property appraisal for one of our rental properties. She'd texted me earlier. "Need those docs ASAP for mediation prep tomorrow." I texted back, "I'm nearby. Can I drop them by your office? I know it's late, but I have them in my car." She responded immediately, "Sure. I'm still here working on your case anyway. Come on up." I drove to her building in Buckhead. Her firm was on the 20th floor. I took the elevator up, walked down the quiet hallway. Most offices were dark, only a few lights on here and there. I got to Jasmine's office. The door was slightly ajar, light spilling into the hallway. I was about to knock when I heard voices. Jasmine's voice, and a man's voice. Brandon's voice. I froze. "We need to be more aggressive," Brandon was saying. "She's got Jasmine pushing for 65-35. That's unacceptable." "Wait. What?" "I'm working on it," Jasmine said. "But you have to understand, Kennedy has a strong case. She makes more money. The affair evidence is solid, and Georgia law tends to favor the spouse who didn't cheat. Then we need to discredit the affair evidence somehow," Brandon said. "Or argue that her income shouldn't matter, that the assets were built together equally." I stood there, my hand on the door, unable to process what I was hearing. "I've been planting seeds," Jasmine said. I told her that a 65-35 split is realistic, but behind the scenes, I've been signaling to Robert that we'd settle for 50-50. When we get to mediation, I'll push back on her demands just enough that the mediator suggests 50-50 as a compromise, and I'll convince her to take it. "What about the reimbursement for the affair expenses?" Brandon asked. "I'll tell her we're fighting for it, but I'll make sure it doesn't actually happen. Robert and I have already agreed. We'll drop that demand in exchange for something minor like you paying her legal fees." I pushed the door open. They were sitting at Jasmine's desk. Brandon on one side, Jasmine on the other. Between them, spread out on the desk, were my case files, my financial documents, my evidence, everything I'd given Jasmine to protect me. They both looked up, saw me standing in the doorway. Brandon went pale. Jasmine stood up quickly, professional smile sliding into place. "Kennedy," she said, too bright, too fake. "You're early. I didn't expect you for another—" "You're working with him," I said, my voice eerily calm. "You're my attorney. I paid you $15,000. I've been paying you $450 an hour for 3 months, and you're working with him." "Kennedy, this isn't what it looks like," Brandon started. "Shut up," I said. I looked at Jasmine. "How long?" "Kennedy, please sit down. Let me explain." "How long?" Jasmine's professional mask slipped. "Since the beginning." The room started spinning. "What?" "Brandon contacted me 3 days before you did," she said, and now her voice was cold, matter of fact. "He knew you'd hire a lawyer. He knew you'd want the best. So he came to me first, told me about the affair, told me about your finances, and offered me $50,000, cash under the table, to represent you on paper while actually working for him." I couldn't breathe. "Why would you do that?" "Because $50,000 cash beats whatever you're paying me in billable hours," she said simply. "And because wealthy, scorned wives are a dime a dozen in this city. But a man willing to pay me to sabotage his own divorce? That's interesting." "You're my lawyer," I said, and I could hear my voice breaking. "You're supposed to advocate for me. That's the law. That's ethics. That's your oath. I am advocating for you," she said. "I'm just advocating for him more. You'll get a fair settlement. 50-50, which is standard. You'll be fine. You make good money. You don't need 65%. "That's not the point," I said, and now I was yelling. "The point is, you're my attorney. I hired you. I trusted you. And that was your first mistake," she said coldly. "Never trust anyone more than you trust yourself." Brandon stood up. "Kennedy, baby, listen. Do not call me baby," I said. "You cheated on me. You used our money on your mistress, and then you paid my lawyer to sabotage my own divorce? Who does that? Someone who's not going to let you take everything I built," he said, and now his voice was hard. "You think you're entitled to 65% because you make a little more money than me? We built this life together. I deserve half. You cheated on me, and you were cold, emotionally distant, always working, never home, never making time for us. This marriage was dead long before Lyric. So you hired my lawyer to make sure I'd lose everything? I hired your lawyer to make sure I'd get what's mine," he said. I looked at Jasmine. "You know you're going to get disbarred for this, right? This is the definition of conflict of interest. This is unethical. This is illegal." She smiled. A real smile this time. Cold and calculating. "Prove it." "Brandon paid me cash. There's no record. As far as anyone knows, I'm your attorney working in your best interest. If you try to report me, I'll say you're making false accusations because you're angry about your settlement. It'll be your word against mine. I'm recording this," I said. That wiped the smile off her face. "What?" I pulled out my phone from my jacket pocket, held it up. The voice memo app was running. "Georgia is a one-party consent state," I said. "I can legally record any conversation I'm part of. And I started recording the second I heard your voices before I walked in. I have everything. The whole conversation. You admitting Brandon paid you $50,000 to sabotage my case. You admitting you've been working for him while pretending to represent me. You admitting you plan to push me into a 50-50 settlement I don't deserve." The color drained from Jasmine's face. "That recording is illegal," she started. "Actually, it's not," I said. "Georgia law is very clear. One-party consent. I can record any conversation I'm a party to without telling you. And this conversation? This is evidence of legal malpractice, breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, and conspiracy. You're done." Brandon lunged for my phone. I stepped back into the hallway. "Touch me, and I'll add assault to the charges," I said. He stopped. I looked at both of them. "I'm going to the State Bar of Georgia tomorrow morning. I'm filing a grievance against you, Jasmine. I'm going to report every single thing you've done. And then I'm finding a real attorney, one who isn't bought and paid for. And I'm going after both of you for everything you're worth." I turned and walked out. Got in the elevator. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the button for the ground floor. When I got to my car, I immediately uploaded the recording to 3 different cloud accounts. Emailed it to myself. Sent it to Simone with a text. "Emergency. Call me now." She called within 2 minutes. "What happened?" "Jasmine Brooks is working for Brandon. He paid her $50,000 to sabotage my divorce. I walked in on them planning strategy tonight. I recorded the whole thing." Silence. Then, "Oh my God. I need a new lawyer," I said. "Someone who can't be bought. Someone who will actually fight for me." "I know exactly who to call," Simone said. "His name is David Williams. He's a bulldog. Former prosecutor, now does high-asset divorce. He's expensive, but he's honest. And he hates corrupt lawyers. When he finds out what Jasmine did, he's going to destroy her." "Set up a meeting," I said. "Tonight, if possible." 2 hours later, I was sitting in David Williams's home office. He'd agreed to meet me immediately after Simone explained the situation. David was a black man in his 50s, silver hair, serious expression, no-nonsense demeanor. "Play me the recording," he said. I did. All 10 minutes of it. Jasmine admitting Brandon had paid her. Admitting she'd been sabotaging my case. Admitting she'd planned to push me into an unfavorable settlement. When it finished, David sat back in his chair. "This is the most egregious conflict of interest I've seen in 30 years of practicing law," he said. "Jasmine Brooks is going to lose her license, probably face criminal charges for fraud. And you're going to get a divorce settlement so favorable it'll make Brandon wish he'd just agreed to 50-50 in the first place." "I want to destroy them both," I said. "Then let's get started," David said. Over the next 2 days, we moved quickly. First, I filed a formal grievance with the State Bar of Georgia against Jasmine Brooks. David helped me draft it. Detailed complaint outlining the conflict of interest, the $50,000 cash payment from Brandon, her admitted sabotage of my case, her plan to push me into an unfavorable settlement. I attached the recording as evidence. Second, David filed an emergency motion to withdraw Jasmine as my attorney of record and substitute himself. He also filed a motion for sanctions against Jasmine for professional misconduct. Third, David sent a letter to Brandon's attorney, Robert Chen, informing him that if he had any knowledge of Jasmine's arrangement with Brandon, he could also face professional discipline. Robert Chen responded within hours. "I had no knowledge of any arrangement between Ms. Brooks and your client's husband. If these allegations are true, I'm appalled, and will be reporting this to the State Bar myself." Fourth, David drafted a new settlement proposal. I get the house. I get 70% of all marital assets. I get reimbursement for all affair-related expenses. I get all my legal fees paid by Brandon, including the $15,000 I paid to Jasmine and any fees I incur with David. Brandon gets 30% of marital assets and the pleasure of not facing criminal charges for conspiracy to commit fraud. "He'll never agree to that," I said, when David showed me the proposal. "He will when he realizes the alternative is me going to the district attorney's office with your recording and having both him and Jasmine charged with fraud and conspiracy," David said. "Georgia takes attorney misconduct very seriously, and a client conspiring with an attorney to defraud another party, that's criminal." We sent the proposal to Robert Chen with a cover letter explaining, "Your client engaged in a conspiracy with Kennedy Harper's former attorney to defraud Ms. Harper in these divorce proceedings. We have a recording of Attorney Brooks admitting to this arrangement. Mr. Harper has 2 choices: agree to these terms or face criminal prosecution. He has 48 hours to decide." Brandon called me directly 12 hours later. I didn't answer. He texted, "Kennedy, please. Can we talk? I'll agree to your terms. All of them. Just don't press charges." I forwarded the text to David. "Let him sweat for another 36 hours, David said. then we'll respond. The State Bar of Georgia moved fast on my grievance. Jasmine Brooks was suspended from practicing law within 2 weeks, pending a full investigation. The investigation took 3 months, during which time they interviewed me, Brandon, reviewed the recording, examined her financial records. They found the $50,000. Brandon had given her cash, but she'd deposited it into a personal account rather than her firm's trust account, itself a violation of ethics rules. The State Bar's ruling came down 6 months after I filed the grievance. Attorney Jasmine Brooks was disbarred, permanently. She could never practice law in Georgia again. She was also referred to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges of fraud. Brandon's divorce settlement was finalized around the same time. He agreed to everything David proposed. I got the house. I got 70% of all assets, including retirement accounts, investment accounts, and our rental properties. I got full reimbursement for the $32,000 Brandon had spent on his affair with Lyric. I got all my legal fees paid, $15,000 to Jasmine, which Brandon had to reimburse me even though she'd stolen it, and another $35,000 in fees to David. Brandon got 30% of marital assets and his freedom. The district attorney ultimately chose not to press criminal charges against Brandon, said it would be hard to prove criminal intent versus just really bad judgment. But Jasmine wasn't so lucky. She was charged with fraud, convicted, and sentenced to 2 years probation, and ordered to pay restitution of $50,000 to me. That was 18 months ago. I'm 37 now. Still a financial advisor, still successful, still managing millions for my clients. I bought out Brandon's remaining interest in our Brookhaven house. It's mine now, completely. I kept both rental properties which generate passive income. My net worth is higher than it's ever been. Brandon tried to rebuild his real estate business, but his reputation took a hit. Word spread in Atlanta's Black professional community about what he'd done. Hard to get clients when people know you conspired with a lawyer to commit fraud. Last I heard, he'd moved to Charlotte to start over. Jasmine Brooks tried to salvage something. Tried to work as a paralegal. Couldn't, because no firm would hire a disbarred attorney. Tried to work in legal consulting. Couldn't, because who wants legal advice from someone who got disbarred for fraud? Last I heard, she was working in marketing. Her law career, over. Her reputation, destroyed. Her $50,000 from Brandon, gone in restitution. And me, I'm thriving. I'm dating someone new. Another financial advisor I met at a conference. Someone honest and kind who would never conspire against me. We're taking it slow, but it's good. I also did something else. I started speaking at legal conferences about attorney ethics and client protection. I tell my story as a cautionary tale. I teach other women how to vet their attorneys, how to protect themselves, how to recognize red flags. Never assume your lawyer is automatically on your side, I tell audiences. Check references. Look up their disciplinary history with the State Bar. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And document everything. Because in a world where even your own attorney can be bought, evidence is your only protection. My story gets shared widely. I've been interviewed by legal journals, appeared on podcasts, written articles for women's magazines about protecting yourself in divorce. People ask me sometimes if I regret hiring Jasmine, if I feel stupid for trusting her. Here's what I tell them. I'm a financial advisor. I assess risk for a living. I know that due diligence matters, and I should have done better due diligence on Jasmine Brooks. Should have checked beyond just Simone's recommendation. Should have looked up her bar record, talked to former clients, trusted my instincts when certain things felt off. But I don't blame myself for trusting her, because trust is what we're supposed to do with our attorneys. They take an oath. They have a fiduciary duty. They're bound by ethics rules specifically designed to protect clients from exactly what Jasmine did to me. She's the one who violated that trust. She's the one who broke her oath. She's the one who sold her integrity for $50,000. And she paid for it. Lost her career, lost her license, lost her reputation, got convicted of fraud, lost everything she'd built. Brandon paid too. Lost his wife, lost 70% of his assets, lost his reputation, lost his place in Atlanta's Black professional community. My name is Kennedy Harper. I caught my husband with my divorce lawyer. She wasn't helping me leave him. She was helping him leave me with everything while I got nothing. But I'm a financial advisor. I'm smart. I'm strategic. I know how to assess situations, gather evidence, and execute a plan. And the plan I executed? It destroyed them both. Jasmine lost her law license. Brandon lost 70% of his wealth and his reputation. And me? I lost a cheating husband and a corrupt lawyer. Best losses I ever took. Because 18 months later, I'm still standing. Still successful. Still building wealth. Still helping my clients secure their futures. And they're both scrambling to rebuild from nothing. That's not revenge. That's consequences. And consequences? They're a beautiful thing when you know how to wield them. If this story made you want to audit your entire legal team, subscribe for more stories about Black women who refuse to be played. Hit like if you believe attorneys should face consequences for betrayal. Comment: would you have recorded that conversation? Have you ever had a professional betray your trust? Thank you for watching, and remember, your lawyer works for you. If that ever feels questionable, document everything and find someone who can't be bought. See you in the next story.